5 seconds longer with the music than normal because he started late.
Everybody, welcome back to the Feist Pro Football Handicapping Show here at DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar. My name is Tommy Canale. I'll be the host today, as I always am. We are at 9785 West Charleston Boulevard. And Dom's is always known for the great pizza, the great happy hours. But now they have this holiday pop-up cocktail menu. And you can get Jingle Juice, Naughty or Nice, Rudolph's Red Rocket, Elf's Secret Stash, or the Mistletoe Misdemeanor. And I don't know about you, Jim, but I might be interested in trying.
I think I use one of each.
You could use one of each. All right, we are here again on Wednesdays. I made this announcement last week. I'm going to bring it up again. The next 2 weeks, we are here on Tuesdays. We will not be here on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, but the 23rd and the 30th. The next 2 weeks are on Tuesdays. The next Wednesday we'll be back is January 7th. All right, let's bring in our guests. We got a couple guys from VSiN. First, he's the host of VSiN Primetime and the close friend of the show. He's been on many times. Matt Youmans, how are you, man?
Great to be back. Appreciate it. And he's also the host of VSiN Primetime.
He is, and Tim Murray. And Tim's also does the college football tailgate show. And Tim, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me. What's up, Jim? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Let's get into it, guys. First off, Jim, how are you feeling? Better today than last week?
Much better. I couldn't make it here last
week.
Couldn't do it.
I missed you. I'm glad you're back.
That's the first and only show I've missed in 2 years.
That's great. I hope you never miss another one.
I hope so.
All right, let's move forward. Tomorrow we have the Rams at the Seahawks, Jim. A big matchup. The Rams, last time I looked, they haven't ruled out Devontae Adams and his hamstring. Seattle opened up last time I looked at 1.5. It was down to a point this morning, total 43.5. Let me ask you this. Who needs this game more, Seattle or the Rams?
I think they're both going to get in the playoffs no matter what. But, Darnold, is he going to explode like he normally does in big games? We know that Stafford won't. This is a tough game. I don't know what to do with it, honestly. I mean, the last time they played, Seattle had all the yardage and everything, but the Rams won the game, even though Seattle turned the ball over quite a bit. I really don't have an opinion on the game.
Matt, what's your thoughts on the Rams going up into Seattle?
I hate to say it, but I kind of echo what Jim said there because I think this is a very difficult game to handicap. I don't believe in Sam Darnold as a quarterback, but I like everything else about the Seahawks as a team. And Stafford's playing at such a high level right now, I really don't want to bet against him. First time around, these teams played, it was 21-19. If you forced me to play this game, I'd play under 42.5. I think the Seattle defense played. Actually, the Rams have played really good defense as well, even though it didn't look like it against the Lions a week ago. I think probably an under in a game where it's high stakes, both teams playing for the top seed, the NFC. I would lean under the total. The side is kind of a coin flip, I believe.
Matt, the game did open 46.5. It's down to 42.5 or 42. So that's to your point about playing under.
Yeah, you've missed the best number, and you always hate it when you miss the best number. But as we sit here today, 42.5 is the best of the market.
Right.
Tim, is Seattle in peaking at the right time?
I mean, I think LA's peaking at the right time.
They've been playing well for a while.
I think, you've got the NFL MVP in Stafford, the way he's been playing. But you mentioned it. There's no way Devontae Adams is playing in this game. I would be surprised if he plays in the rest of the regular season. That hamstring, he's been such a great red zone target for him when he's got 12 or 14 touchdowns. That's been Stafford's go-to guy in the red zone. And I think you can make an argument, not that there's really a motivational edge in this, but I could say that Seattle needs this game more, in my opinion, because you think about home field in the playoffs. Does LA really need home field, right? They don't even have an advantage at home. Seattle, though, you get everyone to come up to the Pacific Northwest. Who knows what that weather's going to be like, but Sean McVay, there's some really good nuggets out there. Sean McVay has been pretty dominant against everyone else in the NFC West, 25-10-1 against the spread. Against the Cardinals and the Seahawks. The 49ers, he's been a little bit under 500, so he's had his way against this division so far.
Jim, let's go back to you and get in. There's a couple Saturday games this week, and the first one being the Eagles at the Commanders. Philadelphia had opened 5.5. It's up to 6.5. I don't know if we'll see 7. The total's at 46.5. Do you like this number?
I mean, it's hard to play Washington right now. I've been, kind of impressed by Marcus Mariota. I think he's done a decent job. And when you look at teams that are going to need quarterbacks next year and the crop of quarterbacks that are going to come out of college this year, Mariota's probably going to have a decent shot at a starting job somewhere next year, at least to compete for one. So I've been impressed. He's played well. Matt and I have talked about it on primetime. What were the Commanders thinking, bringing back Jaden Daniels with the elbow injury?
Makes no sense.
And then he gets hurt again. So he's been shelved for the rest of the year. This team's still fighting, but there's not a lot to this team. They beat the Giants. Zach Ertz is done for the year. Him and Daniels had a really good connection through the air. And then you look at Philadelphia. Was what we saw last week them figuring it out, or were they just playing the god-awful Raiders, right? I mean, that's the question you have to ask.
Well, you're bringing up exactly what I was just going to ask Matt is, and it seems like about maybe a couple weeks, a year ago to this week is when Philadelphia figured it out and went on a run. And I was just going to ask Matt, have they figured it out?
Well, that happened last year. 2 years ago, it did not happen. Remember, 2 years ago,
Right.
They just kept playing bad football. It feels more like 2 years ago than it does last year.
Okay.
I don't think Philadelphia's figured it out. It's when you play the Raiders, it's a get-right game. Bottom line. So a lot of things can look good when you play the Raiders. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to do it back-to-back weeks. What's the motivation for the Commanders here? Not really sure. If I had to play it, I'd take the dog. But I would like to get 7 at 6.5 out there. This early game on Saturday, I'm probably going to pass.
Jim, are you on this game or are you going to wait for 7?
I'd like to ask Matt and Tim a question. What's the motivation for Philadelphia in this game? I mean, we know they're going to win the division.
I think it's just to try to keep
Play
getting
better.
right. I mean,
Play better and peak toward the playoffs.
they're the Super Bowl champs, and they look like crap for 3 straight weeks until they play the Raiders. So I would say that's the motivation here. They'll have plenty of. I mean, the stadium. Look, I'm from that area. That stadium's going to be 60 to 70% Philadelphia fans. And Washington fans are going to be checked out. No Jaden Daniels. Middle of the day, Christmas time. I think you're going to see a lot of Philly fans make the trip down I-95 for that game. So certainly not a home field advantage. But, to Matt's point, you've seen this Washington team, what was it, 2 weeks ago, Sunday Night Football against the Broncos, where that would have been a rough beat if you didn't, get that. And then they score a touchdown, they go for 2. So I'm with Matt. I think with a relatively low total, if this gets to 7, which certainly could happen. I mean, I think in an isolated game, you're going to see the public just put teasers, money line parlays, everything's going to have Philadelphia starting, your teasers. You might be able to get a 7 at some point. So I would say with Washington, if you're looking at the dog, be patient. You're probably going to get a 7 at some point.
You're probably right. It did open 4.5. It's up to 6.5. Not really too much juice on it, but I think I'd take Washington with a 7. All these players, even though they're not going to the playoffs, they are playing for their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Either bagging groceries next year, or they're playing football with a potential for a high contract. Philadelphia, they're locked into the playoffs, that we know, and they have this history of either falling apart like they did 2 years ago, or doing what they did last year. What I liked about Philadelphia last week, but they were playing the Raiders, and this is like Matt said, you play the Raiders like playing Pahrump. You don't know what you're.
I didn't know Pahrump had a team.
They don't. Neither does Vegas. But they actually hit some shots in the middle of the field, which Hurts doesn't usually do. He usually throws the ball outside the lines. Last week he threw it inside the lines, and that makes a big difference because it opens up the field. And we know he can run, so that's a weapon that they haven't been using. Philadelphia's dangerous. I still think they're dangerous. They're the defending champs, even though it looks like the Rams are the better team. And by all rights, they look like the better team. But Philadelphia's dangerous. But I would take 7, just because I think Washington's playing for the jobs, and Mariota has looked pretty good.
Matt, let me go to you and then the other game on Saturday with the Packers at the Bears. Micah Parsons suffered the torn ACL versus the Broncos. The line opened up at Green Bay -3. Now Chicago, last time I looked this morning, is favored by 1.5. Total at 46.5. Before we get into the lines, Matt, what does Parsons' injury do to Green Bay and its chances going forward?
It's not going to impact the point spread much at all. But in terms of the pass rush for Green Bay, it's going to make, I think, a big impact because Packers are struggling getting to the quarterback. And with Micah Parsons out there, That obviously made everybody else on the field better and more effective. So I don't love the Packers' chances going forward, and I hate to say that because I got a futures bet on the Packers winning the Super Bowl, and I don't like it now. DraftKings has still got Packers favored by 1.5 in this game. It's a little bit surprising. Caesars and Will Hill does too, also. And I would say if you want to play a teaser on Saturday, tease the Eagles down and the Bears up. I like the Bears in this game. I'm going to have a straight bet on the Bears. I've already got one actually plus 1.5. Bears have the number 2 rushing offense in the NFL, 152 yards per game. And I think they're going to run against this Green Bay defense and run it effectively all day. The more I watch Jordan Love, the less I like him. Talking about the Packers quarterback, throwing off his back foot all the time. A lot of ill-advised throws. The Bears have been a lucky team all season. But Bears now believe they're really good, and they're playing like it. They're playing like it on both sides of the ball. So I actually decided yesterday I was going to bet the Bears in this game. They had a great shot to beat the Packers at Lambeau a couple of weeks ago. Packers are playing on the road for the 3rd time in 4 weeks. Back-to-back road games. And here's a trend when a team plays in Denver, when you play at elevation in Denver and then are on the road again the next week, teams in that situation are 6-17 against the spread and 0-6 ATS this season. It's also a very negative spot for the Packers playing on the road back-to-back weeks after playing at altitude. And all the injuries, Tommy, it's not just Micah Parsons.
Yeah, they got a bunch.
They've got 4 or 5 significant injuries, and I think this is going to be a good spot to bet the Bears.
Tim, you agree?
I do. And, Green Bay, going back to Chicago, to Matt's point, you think back to Black Friday and then the following week when they went to Green Bay, because I believe that this Bears team had a horseshoe up their butt all season. And then the Eagles game, I was impressed. And then even in the loss to the Packers, I came away saying, you know what, that team's much better than I expected. And now you get revenge less than 2 weeks later. And I think to double back on Matt's point, look, Micah Parsons, think about who benefited the most from Micah Parsons. A guy like Rashawn Gary. And you saw how crushed he was after the game, not only to lose a teammate, but what Micah Parsons meant to that defensive room. I think now you're going to see more double teams for a guy like Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary benefited greatly from Micah Parsons being on the opposite side of him. And then the pass catchers for Green Bay, where were they against Denver? Christian Watson gets hurt. Tucker Kraft, his replacement, Luke Musgrave can't catch a ball. So I think for Jordan Love, I know Matt's a bit critical of him. I'm more critical of their pass catchers and their inability to get open. So I think this is a good spot for the Bears. I was impressed by their performance at Lambeau, and I think they get revenge here against Green Bay.
Jim, do you believe in the Bears now?
I believe in what Ben Johnson's done with the Bears. He's improved Caleb. He's improved everything about the Bears this year. Now, they've been turning the ball over on their opponents all year long. You can call that luck or you can call that preparation. A little bit of both. And but they do have a lot of turnovers, and which is all positive. I like the Bears in this game. I think they'll win the game straight up.
Jim, let me stay with you and going into Sunday. With the Bucs going to the Panthers, this is a big game in the division. Tampa Bay is favored by 3, totals 45.5. Tampa Bay is currently number 4 in the standings. Carolina's number 9. This is basically for the division title. I know you're big on Tampa Bay, but they've just been so banged up. They haven't played well as of late. What's your thoughts on this game?
Oh boy! I mean, in the summer, I bet Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of them, and I didn't expect them to be hurt and injured so often and so all over the whole roster, on especially defense and offense. They lost Evans for a while and lost other players. The offensive line was banged up. Orris came out and he says he's disgusted with the team. Baker has not looked like Baker. He's a little hurt. They're laying 3 on the road. I don't agree with the line. I think it's an even game. I can't play the game. I just don't like it. Sometimes it's hard to change your mind when you think like Buccaneers are going to win this division. Right now, I'm not comfortable with the way the Buccaneers are playing, and I'm just going to pass the game.
Matt, is this a teaser game?
No. In fact, handicapping the NFC South is kind of like a hound's breakfast. I think it's tough. When it comes to the NFC South and the WNBA, I defer to Jim Feist.
Gee, thanks.
No,
I wouldn't go that far with the NFC South.
I agree with what he said. I think it's hard to make the Bucs a full 3-point road favorite here. If anything, I'd bet the Panthers, but I'll probably pass.
Tim?
Yeah, this Carolina team, it's funny, going back to the Packers, they lose to Carolina, and everyone looks at that as, how could they possibly lose? They were 2 touchdown favorites. That's what the Panthers have done all year. They've won 7 games this year, and they were an underdog in all 7 of them. They don't win as a favorite. Look up the trends of Carolina as a favorite. It's horrific how bad they are. So I feel like the market is having a hard time figuring out this Carolina team. And to Matt's point, I am too. But you watched that Tampa team the other day on Thursday Night Football against Atlanta. I mean, you knew where the ball was going every single time. They were just – Kirk Cousins was stopping back and throwing to Kyle Pitts, and they had no idea how to stop it. So it's hard for me right now with this Tampa team to lay 3 on the road against a team in Carolina that has really wildly overexceeded expectations. As an underdog this year, they're the best team ATS. They're 7-4 ATS with 7 outright wins.
Tim, let me stay with you and stay in that division somewhat with the Jets going to the Saints. New Orleans has been the division spoilers. They knock off Tampa, and then they knock off Carolina. They're at home this week. They're a 4.5-point favorite. Total's 40.5 with the Jets coming in. Saints have been playing better as of late. Is this a good spot for the Saints?
Isn't there an old saying, you don't have to bet every game?
Yep.
Yeah, this might be that one. Jets and Saints, if I had to guess, if you went down to Red Rock and talked to Chuck Esposito, I would say this is probably the lowest handled game of that early window, Jets and Saints. It's hard to back the Jets here in this spot. So probably would look at the Saints, if anything, in this spot.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet this game, but I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people who thought the Saints win total under was free money this season, and they're going to be sweating these last couple weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Jimmy, passing on this game, too?
Well, my friend out there, Chipper, who was on the show last week, used to say the Jets. He called them the green slime. Well, this year they look that way. I mean, they're a mess. But can you really lay 4.5 points with New Orleans? I like the way they're playing, but as a favorite, there's some teams you just don't want to play in a favorite role. And like Tim said a couple of minutes ago about Carolina, it's the same thing here with New Orleans. I don't really trust them as a favorite. I can't trust the Jets in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just going to pass the game.
All right, Jim, let me see if you trust this next one. We got the Bills at the Browns. Buffalo's favored by 10. Total's 42. Do you trust the Cleveland offense?
Hell no.
Is this an under game?
Well, if the weather's good, probably not, because they're going to sling the ball around. Shador's going to throw it around. He's going to probably throw the ball to the other team. If I was going to play this game, I'd probably put Buffalo in a 10-point teaser with a couple other teams. That's the only way I'd look at it.
Matt?
So as a situational handicapper, this is a tricky one because I hate to bet the Browns, but I think the only bet here would be the Browns or pass because the Bills have the Eagles on deck and they're off the game against the Patriots. On the road in Cleveland, in that sandwich situation, I think the underdog is going to be live. But again, I hate to bet the Browns, so it would be underdog or pass here. I don't think you're going to get the Bills' best effort because they're off the big comeback against the Patriots. And like I said, they got the Eagles on deck next week. It's a bad spot for the Bills.
Matt and I think similarly a lot, and we talk a lot of college football situational spots, and I lean more into situational handicapping for college football than I do for the pros. But to Matt's point, you're coming off of this incredible come-from-behind win against New England. You're down 21-0. You've got an slight hope of winning this division, even though it's unlikely because you're going to lose the tiebreaker due to division record in New England. But you win that game. You've got Philadelphia coming up at home. You're on the road. It's going to probably be brutal weather, if I had to guess. Cleveland with that defense, 10.5. I would be tempted to take an ugly dog there in that spot. Cleveland this year, by the way, 3-1 ATS as a home underdog. So it's a small sample size. Obviously, they've changed quarterbacks a couple of times, but with that defense and this screams kind of a sleepy spot for Buffalo coming off of that thrilling come-from-behind win over your division rival.
Matt, let me go with you with the Chargers at the Cowboys. Dallas is favored by 2.5. Total's at 49.5. I don't know what to think of either one of these teams at this point in the season. Do you?
Cowboys don't have a lot left to play for. They're pretty much done, right? After losing that game to the Vikings on Sunday night. The problem here is, talking about spots, it's a bad spot for the Chargers, too. They're off the Monday night, win over the Eagles, big win. Go on the road, face the Chiefs in KC, win that game. Now they got back-to-back road games off 2 big wins. It's tempting here to play the Chargers. I'm not sure if I will or not, but I definitely don't want to lay with the Cowboys. This Dallas defense, again, has regressed in the past couple weeks. Dallas defense looks bad again. And you don't know what you're going to get from George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, too, right? Dak Prescott.
Where's Pickens?
I know. So I would lean Chargers here, but again, it's a negative situational spot for the Chargers.
Tim?
Yeah, highest total on the board this week, right? 49.5. So wouldn't be an ideal teaser spot because you're not really getting the air quotes value on a teaser when you've got a high total at 49.5. But I would probably look a little bit more towards the Chargers here. Obviously, they have more to play for, but to Matt's point, we just talked situational. You go on the road, you eliminate the Kansas City Chiefs from the playoffs. Now you got to turn around and you got to play, in Dallas. Dallas coming off of back-to-back pretty embarrassing performances. So probably would be a look at the Chargers, but not a play for me right now.
Anything for you, Jim?
I think I'd look to the over. I don't see a way that Dallas stops the Chargers. They haven't stopped anybody. They even made J.J. McCarthy look really good last week. Although, you got to give him credit. Maybe the kid is getting better. But I like the Chargers and the Dallas to go over the number.
Well, you spoke of McCarthy. Let's go to that game with the Vikings at the Giants. Minnesota's favored by 3, total 43.5. Is McCarthy getting better? Is it just who he's faced lately? You.
Well, it certainly looks like he's getting better. I don't know what they did, how he did it, but in the last 2 games, he's actually looked like he's competent. And they do have a roster with Minnesota that's as good as anybody. So if they can get competent quarterback play, and he did look pretty good. And the Giants, they looked terrible last week. They've changed the head coach. Everything is, and it's just not working. The head coach is 0-4. Dart's been in the blue tent so many times with the possible concussion issues. I like Minnesota in the game. I certainly can't lay very much with it. Maybe a money line play Minnesota.
Matt, is this a home dog play or no?
Probably going to pass on this game. It's if anything, it would be the Giants. I think I played the Giants +3. But at some point, the Giants probably go. I think the Giants might quit at some point. I don't know if it's going to be this week. They're trying. They're also trying to lose. You would think as an organization.
They didn't look good last week.
They looked really bad. And I know that coaches never try to lose. Like Mike Kafka, the interim coach of the Giants, thinks he's coaching for the job. He's not. He has no chance to get it. Giants and the Raiders are in the running for the number 1 overall pick. These teams actually should be trying to lose. I don't know if they are or not. I would play Giants +3, but I don't know how much of an effort you're going to get to win out of the home dog here.
It's one of those things where it's because it's the NFL. I would look at the Giants here because you'll hear it all week. You'll hear it on the Sunday shows. I think the Giants, based off of schedule strength, would actually get the number 1 pick if they lose out. They would win the tiebreakers. But to Matt's point, you've got Mike Kafka. He's not going to be on this staff next year, right? You're going to have a new coach coming in with an entirely new staff, so they don't care about the Giants getting the 1. Joe Shane, I guess, up there hasn't been fired yet. But I would look at the Giants here at 3. I don't know how you can trust this Vikings team on the road, and I think maybe you're getting them a little bit elevated because of their win over the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, right? Everyone watched them beat the Cowboys. Oh, the Vikings aren't that bad. JJ played a little bit better. This does feel a little bit like a sell high spot, and certainly a incredible buy low on what looks to be a terrible team. But you could also find yourself about 45 minutes into this game saying, I can't believe I put my actual money on the Giants to cover this number.
Tim, let me stay with you with the Chiefs at the Titans. Mahomes has already undergone successful surgery, repair that ACL, LCL. Gardner Minshew is going to be the quarterback going forward. I saw it opened up at 10.5. It's down to 3.5. The total's at 37.5. Does the big change to the total say more about Kansas City or more about Tennessee?
Well, I mean, it's that Patrick Mahomes means more than a touchdown to the point spread, right? I mean, he's one of the most, if not the most important person to the point spread in the NFL, and he's out. This team is not going to the playoffs for the first time in a decade. So where's their head at in this game? But then you also have to ask yourself, are the Kansas City Chiefs wildly on sale here against a horrific football team,
right,
the Tennessee Titans, right? You're getting threes across the board right now. I mean, they're slightly juiced, but I mean, you could lay, if you go down to the South Point right now, they're minus 110 both ways. That's 3. You're getting the Kansas City Chiefs, who were thought to be the highest power rated team in football for a good chunk, probably incorrectly, but is this a spot where it's a massive overreaction to, granted, the best player in the sport being out? I can't take the Titans at 3. There's no way. When you could have got in the look-ahead number double digits with the Tennessee Titans.
Matt.
Yeah, that number was 11.5 at DraftKings at one point. So Mahomes worth 8 points to the number. The problem with the Chiefs here, if you play them, is there's been a lot of sharp money on the Chiefs the last couple of weeks, and they lost both times. Sharps keep losing with the Chiefs, and now Kansas City's out of playoff contention. Got nothing to play for. How motivated are the Chiefs going to be going to Tennessee to face one of the worst teams in the league?
Jim, let me ask you on that same one, because I know you're big with Andy Reid and everybody. Is Andy Reid good enough to get Gardner Minshew to cover the spread?
Well, of course. I mean, but that's the point is, I think, going back to what Matt said, where's their mindset? I mean, they have Mahomes is had a surgery. Is he going to come back next year? We don't know that because it's a big rehab. They don't really have a quarterback that's going to lead you anywhere with Minshew, so they're going to have to look for something else. So, and then you got Kelsey's probably going to retire. They got offensive line problems. They've got wide receiver problems. There's a lot of holes in Kansas City that we didn't see years ago. I mean, a lot of people bet against them, including me, that they were not going to win the division, and I actually bet them that they wouldn't make the playoffs, so I won that one already. And I don't see that they're going to come in here motivated. And I know Tennessee's going to be motivated. Now, does that matter when you have a bad team like this? It might. It might. I'm not going to take 3 when you're chasing a bad number, but I could probably take another bad number. I probably could take the under.
Okay. Matt, let me go with you with Bengals at the Dolphins. They benched Tua. They're going to start the rookie in Quinn Ewers.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati, I think, is favored. Last time I looked, it's up to 4.5 now, something around 4.5. Totals at 47.5. What's your thoughts on this game? I mean, you got Burrow.
Yeah, but Burrow doesn't seem to care about playing football right now, does
Well,
he?
after his interview, that's a good point.
That's why I saw his interview last week. He said, I'm not going to bet the Bengals because you got a quarterback who looks depressed and sad and looks like he doesn't care about playing. And they got shut out last week. So this is interesting. The Raiders and the Bengals were the 2 teams that got shut out last week. It's really tough to come back and bet teams like that. But since 2015, teams that were shut out in the previous game are 35-17 against the spread in their next game, including 5-0 ATS this season. Now, that said, we're getting near the end of the season where teams like the Bengals and the Raiders don't give a damn about these games, right? So take that for what it's worth. I don't know what you're going to get from Joe Burrow in a game like this. Quinn Ewers, a rookie quarterback out of Texas, who was a 7th-round pick, by the way. I agree with the benching of Tua. He never should have got that big contract. Dolphins are in a predicament now that they're not going to be able to get out of anytime soon, and they have a coach who's a stuttering buffoon. So,
Tim, before I go
on either side, Matt.
Jim, before I go to you, Jim, when Matt was saying, you brought up something before the show started, and you agree with the benching as well, and you said Miami's got to figure out what they got.
Well, they do. I mean, all these teams that are going nowhere with the quarterback that they have to bench the guy and watch and see what they have with the backup guys. It's just natural. Here, Cincinnati with Burrow. Burrow reminds me of a few years ago, actually several years ago, Andrew Luck. And he quit really quickly. He got hit a lot. He got sacked more than anybody else. The management didn't build an offensive line for him. And Burrow seems like a guy, just seems like that type of mentality that he's just fed up. And I don't blame him. This team doesn't put a lot of money into what they have there. The facilities aren't great. Even the defense is absolutely horrible. So he's got to score. He's got to put up 40 points just to have a chance to win, which he's very capable of because he's really good. But like Matt said, it doesn't look like he wants to play football. I would not be surprised if he actually said at the end of the season he's going to retire.
You staying away from this game?
Totally.
You too, Tim?
Well, I think, Matt and I were on air on Monday night watching Miami. And if you just looked at the box score and didn't watch Miami-Pittsburgh, and Matt brought this up during the game, you'd say, Tua wasn't that bad. He was horrible. I mean, he had a bunch of empty stats in the fourth quarter when the Pittsburgh Steelers dropped back their defense. And my question is, what is Tua worth to the line at his current form? Because the point spread would tell you he's worth about 3 points. Is that true? I mean, we don't know what Quinn Ewers is. As Matt pointed out, he's a seventh-round pick. He was a highly touted kid coming out of high school, up and down career at Texas. But I actually think the play would be Miami or nothing here, because a 3-point move on Tua has been awful. And I don't know, at home, you've got a week to prepare for a rookie. You're probably going to give him some, plays that he's comfortable with against a defense that, Jim, you pointed out is terrible. So I think Miami at 4.5 would probably be the way I would have to look, especially if you've got Joe Burrow going down there and he's kind of checked out on the rest of the season.
Tim, let me stay with you with the Falcons at the Cardinals. Atlanta's favored by 2.5, total 47.5. I have not been able, I gave up trying to put a pulse on the Cardinals. I have no idea who they are. Do you?
No.
That's good.
And do you know who Atlanta is?
Well, sometimes better than the Cardinals.
I mean, here's the crazy thing: is Kirk playing for a contract next year? As I pointed out with Mariota with a quarterback class in college that is led by Fernando Mendoza, who in most normal years wouldn't be in the discussion for the number 1 overall pick. Is Dante Moore, the kid from Oregon, going to come out? Is Darian Mensah from Duke? I mean, the names you're hearing in the draft class are not very salivating. So a guy like Kirk Cousins, who has worked the system perfectly every stop of the way to make a lot of money, now with the Penix situation, do the Falcons look to trade him? So he's kind of playing for his future. And you think back to the Thursday night game against Tampa. Look, he just kept going back and back and back to Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts is motivated, he's unstoppable. And then you look at Bijan Robinson as well. So it's hard for me to say go lay points with Atlanta on the road, because you could get a stinker with Kirk Cousins, especially I feel like it's flipped on him early on his career. It was primetime Kirk was the one that sucked, and now I feel like primetime Kirk is when he excels. And those early games, you think back to the Miami game, he was dreadful when he stepped in there. So it'd be hard for me to recommend Atlanta, but to your point, Tommy, I can't really figure out Arizona right now.
Matt?
I can figure out both these teams. They both suck. And, that's where we are. I think the Falcons, though, have a lot more offensive talent. They have a lot more playmaking ability when you look at Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson. And that's why the Falcons are 2.5-point road favorites. But this game is an easy pass for me.
Jim?
I really like the over.
Okay.
I mean, Arizona's been an over. They don't play much defense. Atlanta, they have some weapons, Bijan and Pitts. And if Kirk can play like he's shown up the last couple of weeks, they can put up some points. And you're not talking about a whole big number here. And the game matters to neither one of them, except the players are playing for contracts, which they all are. And I think the over is pretty – you're going to get favorable weather in Arizona, so you're not dealing with that. Excuse me. Yeah, I like the over.
Jim, let me stay with you with Jaguars at the Broncos. Are the Broncos the best team in the AFC to you?
No. I think,
Who is, in your opinion?
well, it depends on whether you look on the offense or the defensive side. But New England looks like maybe the best offense, along with the Bills when Superman puts his cape on, because he is the most talented quarterback. I'm talking about, Josh Allen. Houston and Atlanta have tremendous. And the Broncos have tremendous defenses. The Broncos might be, not the Broncos, but the Texans might be the best team because the way they play defense and with the offense coming into shape, and they're going to have an easy one this week. They're a 14.5-point favorite over the Raiders, poor Raiders at least. But they could be the best team because of that defense, and they have a good coach, and Stroud's looking in good shape, and the offense is rounding into shape. That could be the sleepy best team in the AFC. Denver's right there. New England's right there. Maybe Seattle, not Seattle's NFC. But we used to say the Colts, but now they got Rivers. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's between those teams.
Will you lay 3 with the Denvers at home against Jacksonville this week?
Well, Jacksonville's dangerous. I didn't mention them, but Liam Cohen's done a hell of a job. The quarterback, Lawrence, this is the best he's looked in the 6 years he's been there. I mean, this guy's playing really well.
As of late.
Yeah, and this coach, he was with Baker last year, and Baker looked really well as well. So you got to give him some credit for what's going on. I'd have to take the dog and the over in that game.
Matt?
So, Tommy, a lot of people were impressed by the way Trevor Lawrence played last week. Who did he face?
Jets.
Oh, okay. The Jets. Now he's facing the Denver Broncos, who have one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the NFL. It's going to be a different story this week. Broncos won 11 in a row. Jaguars won 5 in a row. But the Broncos definitely have the better defense, and I think they're going to give Trevor Lawrence all sorts of problems here. So, Broncos -3. I think the line's a little bit cheap. I like the home favorite.
Feels like this is kind of the peak on both of these teams, right? When you think about Jaguars coming off of, at least from an offensive standpoint, to Matt's point, it was against the Jets, but Trevor Lawrence threw 5 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. If anyone had Trevor Lawrence in fantasy playoffs, they were pretty happy about like 60-plus points or whatever it was. But then you have Denver. They had the big game in that 1 o'clock window, and they come from behind. I thought Bo Nix, that's the best game I've ever seen Bo Nix play, at least in the professional race. He was really good. You know how good this defense is. I mean, the Surtain interception on that throw to Christian Watson was unbelievable. I mean, I know the throw was a little bit underthrown, but for him to make that leaping interception, I mean, that dude is on another level. I mean, there's a reason he was Defensive Player of the Year. So, when I look at this game, I kind of go back and forth because I can see the thought where this is maybe a sell high spot on Denver, but I feel like we've been saying that all year. Hey, this team isn't that good. They're undervalued. They're overrated. And then they go out and they beat the Chiefs. They go out and they come from behind and beat the Packers, both at home dogs. Now they're laying 3 at home. It's probably the right number. So I would actually stay off here because on the flip side, Jacksonville, a team that, when you look at their recent results, okay, they crushed the Chargers, but then it's at Arizona, Tennessee, Indianapolis with, a banged up quarterback situation, and then the Jets. When they've tried to punch up, they blew the lead to the Texans in that crazy game a couple weeks ago. So it's hard to kind of get a pulse on this Jacksonville team. But for me, I actually think this number's probably maybe a little too high. So I'd be a pass for me on this one.
Jim, you brought up you're big on the Houston Texans and them having the Raiders this week. They're at home and a 14.5-point favorite. I know nobody likes to lay double digits, but I mean, can the Raiders cover 14.5? Yes, they can, but they seem like they've checked out completely.
They're horrible.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
I never lay 14.5 to anybody, although there's a lot of 14s out there. You don't have to actually lay the hook. I'd have to play Houston. I'd never do that, but I don't see how unless there's a turnover or something crazy happens, I don't see how Vegas covers, or even scores.
It'll look good.
18-0, I think, covers the game.
Matt?
Aside from Brock Bowers and Max Crosby, Raiders don't have much in terms of players worth keeping, really. It's almost a clean house situation. I've always liked Pete Carroll. I think his time's done, and it's not just all Pete Carroll. Mark Davis, the owner. Tom Brady's done a poor job with some of the decisions he made, including bringing in Chip Kelly as offense coordinator. The new GM, Spytek, had a horrible draft last year. They made bad personnel decisions. It's not all on Pete Carroll. It's just from top to bottom, Raiders are bad. I think what you do here when you're facing Houston, talked about Broncos having one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the league. That's the Raiders team total under. What are they going to get? 2 field goals?
10.5.
I know.
Yeah.
What's the number?
10.5.
Are the Raiders going to top 10.5 points? It's unlikely that that's going to happen. You're talking about a Raiders offense on the road against Kansas City that had 95 total yards, and last week against the Eagles had 75 total yards. Their offensive line's bad. They don't have any playmakers. Their rookie running back is averaging about 2.5 yards a carry. I think that's probably the bet here. I would not play the Raiders. It'd be Texans, if anything, and the Raiders team total under.
Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking up to see what it was, and it's 10.5 right now on their team total. And yeah, maybe you get some freakish bounces. I know Vegas was able to score 17 points, albeit a field goal coming as time expired against Denver.
Well, 10 points in the last 2 minutes.
Right. So you're worried about something like that. You're worried about what we saw on Monday night, right? Matt and I both had the under, and that was ridiculous. That was a dead under game. And then Pittsburgh's up 3 touchdowns, and they go into prevent defense. So is Vegas able to do some window dressing? So that's your only worry about taking a team total that low to the under. But playing against this tenacious Houston defense, I think from what I've seen right now, it's Denver, Houston, and however you want to put them in order as the 2 best defenses in the NFL right now.
Is this the lowest team total all year? Has to be, right?
10.5's got to be damn
I
close.
think it's tied for the lowest. I've seen 10.5, I think, 2 other times.
Really?
Maybe Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah, right.
Tim, let me stay with you with the Steelers at the Lions. Detroit's favored by a touchdown. Totals up from 49.5 up to 52, some places 51.5. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
Pittsburgh looked really good on Monday night. I thought Aaron Rodgers, you saw, I'm not going to say you saw vintage Aaron Rodgers because he won 4 MVPs in Green Bay, and he was an elite quarterback. So you just saw some familiarity, comfort zone there. I actually like Detroit here in this spot. They're desperate. They've got to keep winning in order to stay in playoff contention. If you want to, I hate teasing a total. I mentioned that the highest total was Dallas. It's actually not. It's this game. It's 52. This is the highest total of the week. So, you look at Pittsburgh, it's kind of a unique situation that's brewing right now with Pittsburgh, where it's all going to come down to week 18 against Baltimore. If Baltimore wins this weekend against New England, and then if Pittsburgh loses this weekend, next weekend is moot for both of these teams, and it comes down to winner take all for the AFC North. Not saying that Pittsburgh's going to punt, but this is a team in Pittsburgh that I think is really going to struggle to try to keep up against Detroit. And Matt, I imagine you have got the numbers there, but Dan Campbell historically has been ridiculous after a loss.
And the Lions blew a lead against the Rams last week in L.A. They were looking pretty good in the second half, fell apart. Campbell and Jared Goff off a loss have won 15 in a row and 14-1 against the spread.
Ooh.
And like you said, I don't think Aaron Rodgers, who has played well the past couple of weeks, is going to be able to trade shots with this Lions offense in a high-scoring game. I like the Lions, and I think this is probably the best teaser side of the week if you tease the Lions down to -1.
I bet the over.
Okay.
I just don't see them stopping anybody. It's just score after score. I mean, Rodgers is throwing the ball very well. He always has his whole career. And I like the over. I think Detroit bouncing. Matt brought up what Campbell and Goff is Detroit after a loss. They're amazing. So this is great home field advantage for Detroit, and the over looks really, really good to me. And then if you're talking about a teaser, you could look at this line and find another couple games to tease it with as far as the total is concerned.
Jim, let me stay with you with Sunday night with the Patriots at the Ravens. Baltimore's favored by 3. Totals at 48. How does New England come back after blowing a 21-0 lead? Where's their mindset right now?
What game are you talking about?
Patriots and the Ravens Sunday night.
Well, I think they come back strong. I like the coach. I think they're going to look in the mirror and say, we're better than this. And we sat on the lead. We sat on our hands, and we just didn't play football. And they're a better team than Baltimore right now. And I don't agree with the 3-point line. I don't think Baltimore should be 3. I think Patriots are too good for that. I'd like the Patriots to win this game.
Feel the same way Jim does. I actually bet the Patriots +3 here. I don't think it should be 3. What have the Ravens really shown recently? Not a whole lot. And last week, Lamar Jackson, 8 for 12, 150 yards with a pick, took 4 sacks. Jackson's not playing that well. Mike Vrabel is a coach that I've believed in for a long time, and I think the Patriots will bounce back from that loss. That big blown lead against the Bills, and I like the Pats plus points on Sunday night.
Okay.
You're starting to see the market come in a little bit on New England here, right? Those threes are slowly starting to disappear, getting juiced up a little bit. Yeah, Baltimore, it feels like they're a team that has been a bit overvalued. Not a bit, they have been overvalued all year. You're wondering, when is this Baltimore team going to figure it out? And maybe they will, and if they win this game, like I mentioned, Week 18 is going to be massive for the NFL with Pittsburgh and Baltimore winner take all in the AFC North. You look at the schedule down the stretch here for Baltimore. It's New England on Sunday, then it's the Green Bay Packers on the road, and then you have Pittsburgh to close it out. So we're gonna figure out what this Baltimore team is. I would agree with Jim and Matt. I would probably look towards New England at 3 or pass.
Tim, let me stay with you with Monday night with the 49ers at the Colts. San Francisco's favored by 6, total at 46.5. Colts got all kinds of quarterback issues. Phillip Rivers starts last week. Maybe it's Peyton Manning this week. Who the hell knows? What's your thoughts on this Monday night game?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Phillip Rivers, what a crazy story it was. And they were, 14.5-point underdogs on the road at Seattle. Game comes down to a game-winning field goal from Myers in Seattle. Blake Grupe hits a 60-yarder to give them the 1-point lead. I've been pro San Francisco most of this year. You know, everyone talked about the schedule. Hey, when you finish the way that they did last year, it's not their fault that they got a favorable schedule. We all knew it going in. You know, they need to keep pace with everyone in the NFC. Hard for me to back Phillip Rivers. I was impressed enough to see what you saw, but I think this is a different game here. So I'm not going to lay 6 or 6.5 with San Francisco on the road, but certainly if you were to put a money line parlay together of Detroit, San Francisco, something like that, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm not that interested in Indianapolis catching points here at home.
Matt, before you give me your thoughts on the game, how dangerous is San Francisco postseason?
I don't think they're that dangerous.
No.
Not in the NFC. I don't think they're that dangerous. And I think Jim Feist might have more arm strength than Phillip Rivers. But I'll say that Phillip Rivers does have an extremely high football IQ, and he knows how to run the offense and put them in the right protections, and he reads defense as well, and I thought he made a few good throws. That said, if this number hits 7, I will take the Colts +7. It's 6.5 at circa right now. I think aside from Rivers, there's no reason the Colts can't compete and hang in this game and have a shot to win on Monday night. And if you give Rivers an extra week of practice, which he's going to have here, I think he should look a little bit better. And the Colts obviously have a kicker too. And that's important. It could be important in a game like this. I think that's going to be an unpopular home dog this week, but I'll wait to see. If I can get 7, I'll probably take it with the Colts.
Jim?
Well, I'm impressed with San Francisco and what they've done with all the injuries.
By the way, nobody liked the Colts last week either, and I took the Colts in the points at Seattle. Probably should have won it,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with what Rivers did last week. It's a little bit shocking that he was able to hang in there and almost beat Seattle on the road. I don't know that can be repeatable, but the way the game was played, it was dead flat under. And I don't see why this one won't be a dead flat under either. You know the defense for the Colts they're going to step up. They have to step up. You know Rivers is not going to put up a lot of points. So if you want, and they're a running team, he's going to have the short passes. It's going to be conservative. It's going to be tight. They're not looking for him to throw the ball down the field. Maybe they'll try it. I mean, like Matt said, I have a bigger arm than Matt. No, I don't think that. But
It's close.
Maybe close. It's a dead flat under. I think it's great teaser play. San Francisco with a couple other teams or one other team, a 6-point or 10-point, but I can't do that. I'm going to just go under.
All right, we want to make sure we thank Albert Scalliott and Dom DeMarco. Let's give a round of applause to Albert for always hosting the show. Tim Murray, Matt Youmans, Jim Feist, 3 great guys up here on the panel. Hang on to your tickets. Thank you from Jake from J-Lore for donating 3 bottles of wine that we're going to give away. Once again, we'll be back the next 2 weeks on Tuesday, the 23rd and the 30th. Next week, Wes Reynolds and Scott Pritchard will be joining us here on the panel. Good luck on your bets, everybody. My name is Tommy Canale. We'll see you next week.